There was a time, Simon's with me, so too is Andros Townsend, that Watford fans were calling this guy a snake. Does everyone deserve a clean slate in football, do you think? Or will his reputation follow him around?
Oh, no, of course. I mean, look, you know...
Of course,
why is he a snake?
Well, because he was disingenuous and disloyal, because the opportunity he got, he went to Hull, and if you remember, he was universally ridiculed. If you look at the Soccer 6 or Soccer Saturday panel with Jeff, which by the way is a brilliant show, all sat there ridiculing this appointment when he was at Hull. No one had ever heard of him, and all of a sudden Hull got themselves together but still got relegated. Yeah. And the first opportunity he got out of the door, he went from Hull into Watford. The Watford boys, I know that they are quite prepared to hire and fire managers regularly themselves, but he was in the door, got them going a little bit, and all of a sudden his currency was back up again. And like a lot of managers, there's a few of them around, the moment an opportunity comes along that suits them better, they forget what's been given to them, they forget the contracts they've signed, they forget the fact they've only been there for 5 minutes, and they start to bat their eyes. And Everton came looking at him, so he then agitated within the confines of Watford to get what he wanted, which was not to remember the opportunity that Watford had given him 5 minutes earlier and the players that they bought for him and so on and so forth, but to go to Everton. So it created a backdrop of real ill will between Everton and Watford that was really quite real, because there was compensation that had to be paid. There were sanctions being put on Everton for their behaviour in an approach to Watford or to their manager without Watford's permission. It then manifested itself in transfer inflated prices on Richarlison, because Watford served them up when they tried to buy Richarlison from Watford as a result of a manager that they gave backing to, that then came back, nicked their backroom staff and nicked their players. So it created an ill will, which is where the snake comes from. He lands in Everton and reaps the whirlwind because he didn't get the success that they thought he was going to get. And he got the tin tack.
Why did he ultimately leave Watford?
Because he felt...
Was he sacked or was he...
No. He felt that the opportunity... He created the situation...
Yeah, but he didn't... He got sacked at Watford, right?
He got a situation where he put... let me finish, because he created a situation...
He was dismissed.
He was dismissed because his behaviour inside the Watford camp was so divisive, so disinterested, that Watford were put in an awful position that basically their manager's saying, I want to go, I'm going to go, and I've dropped tools, the team's performance dropped right off the face of the earth, and Watford are sitting there going, thanks very much.
So they lost a few games and they sacked him. So there's no loyalty from the club there. He preempted what would have happened.
It's not as simple as that.
I mean, to be fair, Simon, didn't Marco Silva have as much to do with it as you're maybe making out? Because at the time, if memory serves me right, Watford cited an unwanted approach from a Premier League club. Mm-hmm. Now, how much did Marco Silva have to do with that?
It's really simple. If you are a manager with any integrity and any respect for the contract that you signed several weeks earlier, and I had a situation like this with Steve Bruce, and I held him in the same contempt at that time as I held Marco Silva in. If you've come somewhere because someone has given you an opportunity, somebody took you out of a relegated football club and kept you in a Premier League job and gave you an opportunity, backed you with some players, and the first big club came out, their reward for giving you a stage where you can rage was 5 minutes after you've started to get yourself going, the first big club that comes along, rather than say, Chairman, I'm with you, I fancy some of that. But how's that right? How does that have any integrity?
Football management is so fickle. You're only, like it was proven, you're only 2 or 3 results away from the sack. So you have to strike while the iron's hot. Well, you have to. You're talking about contracts, Simon. When you was owner at Palace, did you never sack a manager?
And I had to pay him as well.
Yeah, but why didn't you honour the contract? You're talking about managers getting themselves out of contract.
You're missing the point, Andros. The contract is based upon money, right? That's what the contract is based upon.
Did he ever sack a manager went through them?
This is what I'm saying. So there's no loyalty from the owner's side.
But you're missing the point, Andros.
There should be no loyalty from the manager's side.
When Silva walks into a job, he's given a contract. When he doesn't do that job and he's fired, guess what happens to him? He gets paid.
But
when he walks out of the door...
Didn't Everton have to pay Watford compensation?
They were trying to avoid that.
But they paid it.
They were trying to avoid that.
But they paid it.
No, they got sanctioned by the Premier League.
But they paid it.
No, they got sanctioned by the Premier League.
Did they pay it?
Because they were sanctioned by the Premier League.
So they paid it.
It's not a difficult step.
So they paid it.
So they paid it,
Simon.
Because they got sanctioned by the Premier League.
Are you telling us they get sanctioned by the Premier League?
I don't know which point he's missing here.
I want to put
Watford got compensation for the value of Marco Silva's contract.
For you, Andros, with the greatest will in the world, not to be patronising, you're transitioning from a player.
Stand back.
You live in a world where it's all about you. It's all about what's right for you.
You can only see it from the owner's point of view.
No, I can see it from the player's point of view and the manager's point of view.
No, well, you can't.
No, of course I can.
You can't.
Because
the same way when you sack a manager, he gets compensation. If a manager then leaves to go to another club,
He doesn't get compensation.
You get compensation.
Why does a manager get sacked most of the time? Is it because he's doing a good job, or is it because
he's lost a few games? In today's world, you lose a few games, you get the sack.
No, you're taking media sound bites and you're turning them into reality.
I'm not the
Managers
one,
don't tend to get sacked for losing 2 or 3 games. Because I'll tell you why they don't get sacked. Watch your mate Wayne Rooney that's lost 12 games at the end of the season. Well, he's a player that plays alongside you at England at one time, I suspect. Right? So you look at players like Wayne Rooney that didn't deserve to keep their job, have kept their job. The last 12 games of the season at Derby, they won 1 game, stayed in the division by someone else scoring a goal, and didn't get sacked. There are managers that get sacked a little bit precipitously. Yeah. They still get paid. No other profession in the world do you get to fail by the terms of this industry, because you seem to think that people getting in an ordinary amount of time to be successful.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. What is the difference? You sacking a manager and have to pay him his contract. What is the difference from them? That manager, before he gets sacked, he's doing well. That manager leaving, and let's for this example, Everton paying Watford the value of Marco Silva's contract.
We all know that when you take a manager into your environments, right, what you do is you back him, you support him, you bring his staff in, right, you recruit people around him, you buy players that he wants, and then what he does, right, is he goes and leaves when it suits him, and then he comes back and he rapes and pillages your club all the players that you want.
But he leaves when it suits him, but you sack him when it suits you as well.
Well, it never suits
You're only seeing it from the owner's point of view.
Don't be puggled.
I'm not being puggled. I'm not being puggled,
Simon. It never
Simon.
suits you to sack a manager, because ultimately you've got to pay him, recruit somebody else, get a whole new set of players, get a whole new back. It's an absolute buggeration.
Nowadays, if the manager falls out of a player, if he loses a few games, if they go through one bad spell, they get the sack.
Andros, I think it doesn't suit anybody to sack a manager.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.